Hey guys, welcome. It's Kai with Kai Dragon Garden and Cooking, and today we're going to start the very first 2025 garden tour here in the Midwest. We had kind of a slow start. Check out our mother-son video where we kind of talked about the status of the garden, but I'm going to give you a full tour of what's to come and kind of explain a little bit of the different areas that we've started. As you can see, we have a beautiful walkway here, plenty of places to go, plenty of plants to visit, and you got room for your wheelbarrows. Always give yourself about 4.5 feet if you're doing spacing. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is asparagus. I'm investigating this right here. This is the first time this year we've had this happen with our asparagus. Not sure, it's not dead, but the top part dried up. I don't know if it burned up here, but the stems are still green. A lot of the new ones coming up. Could have been a food issue. We're researching that. I've never seen this in 5 years.
But we did have some very high temperatures that popped up quickly.
And as you can see, even here, some of these are doing it. So hopefully there's no disease in this bed. I'm hoping not, but there is a lot of seeds and stuff that get dropped in here from birds, so I don't know if there's something that came in there or whatnot. These should not have done anything. These are sunflowers. This was an invader. This was from some bird seed because Mom likes to feed birds, but you can see how big this stalk is. So you can tell the soil is very fertile. I mean, that's a hell of a stem. I mean, he's got a good diameter about that big. That's incredible. We've got some tomatoes up front here because tomatoes and asparagus make good companion plants. They try to keep pests away. Hopefully we can figure out what's going on here. This is all broccoli and beets, and luckily this year the broccoli has not bolted. It did get attacked by the cabbage caterpillar, and this one is an invader. We'll just yank it right out here.
And as you can tell, we always try and keep a 5-gallon bucket in the garden, so when we are getting rid of invaders,
behind you,
we can get rid of them and get them in the compost pile.
And these leaves are edible, what's left of them. I mean, we did have a cabbage caterpillar or something that came by. The beets look healthy though. The beets here are very lush, very full. The leaves really aren't torn up. This is just some mulch, but I'm really pleased with that. This bed here has been very well established and been untouched. This is our peppers and onions. There's a lot of onions in here, and of course, as you see, there's peppers all throughout here. The nice thing about this is that we have not had any squirrels or any critters jump in here. In fact, when I was pulling the weeds out of here to get it ready, because we did hit some weeds, you can smell the onions. They're so strong that it just takes your breath away. It's good. That means they're going to be great for, using these for your cooking or pulling the onions up once they're ready. There's a lot you can do with that.
And we have used some of those onions already. Just as using the recipes that called for green onions and stuff, I've pulled several of them, and oh my God, they were so good.
Oh yeah. And then we got our peppers here. This is another one with our experiment that we have done. So this one here, it has a lot of our big Bertha peppers. So they're the ones that get, about this big, get really good. And you can make great stuffed peppers with whether it's hamburger and rice, or if you're using cream cheese and wrapping around bacon. All in all, it's really fantastic. We've put basil in here this year. Once again, no shearing. These plants are vibrant. We got
starting to flower.
Flowers, and it's kept the squirrels out. So,
which is amazing.
How we did this design this year was we wanted to keep our peppers kind of separated from our tomatoes. They're all part of the nightshade family, but they can spread diseases. So we're doing the best we can to mitigate that. The same with eggplant. Eggplant's in the same family, so they could all be in the same bed together, but you run a risk of running a lot of illnesses. These are all really doing well. You see flowering. We haven't really had much trouble here.
They were lanky and very spindly when we planted them. We weren't sure whether they were going to snap out of it, but you know, we did use blood meal and bone meal and a little bit of plant food and mixed it in with the soil. And some of the plants, I actually put sardines in the planting hole too. So we're going to see what does best.
Then over here we got green beans in here, and we've got a few artichokes. Don't think the artichokes are going to perform too well because we did get these in a little late.
And they are a cold weather crop, and we didn't do enough research on it. It's a first time for us growing them, and we weren't really sure, but we thought, what the heck, we'll give it a try. Some people said plant early spring, others say late fall, so we'll see what happens.
These beds that we got here are all our large tomatoes, our super beefsteaks, the ground swellers. We have so many different assorted ones in these 6 beds here. And what we're doing, intruder alert, what we are doing here is training some to go up the poles, training them to go up these trellises so they meet up here and then they come across and you can just pick the tomatoes off, and hopefully it works as we're trying to experiment with. It'll be pretty cool. It'll be like these little cool flower arches when they're done. And then we have just a lot of them going up your stakes. We also planted some basil in here. We got to get a lot more basil. We've got big boys. We've got mortgage lifters. Oh man, we've got all sorts of them. We even have one that can produce a 2-pound tomato in here. So we've got a lot of work on them. They still got to grow. They were also down in our grow room during the brief trouble that we had in April. So, you know, everything's coming along nicely. And then we got one new to Burpee, which was this big rainbow. And they're supposed to produce 1 to 2 pound tomatoes, and they're supposed to be kind of an orange and not red color. So it's very interesting. I want to see how they grow. As you can see, even a lot of this one here is also a big rainbow, and you can see it's getting ready to produce. So we'll have a lot of updates on this stuff. Now down here, this is our grapes. Our grapes this year are enormous. In fact, they're wanting to reach out and touch you. It's like, hey, how you doing? Let me grab on you. But if you dig deep enough in here, look at all these grapes this year. I don't know if we can get a good focus on it, but you can see all these grapes that are growing in here. So hopefully this year we'll beat the birds to them when they're ready. They do have seeds in them. When I bought the plants, I was told they were seedless. Not so much. So maybe this year I'd make wine. I am really excited about. This is the first time I've seen blackberries, and it's proven that the shade cloth helps. We're gonna have so many blackberries. I mean, we have so many flowering that's going on here. This is really nice. The one thing with blackberries you always have to remember is it is an invasive plant. So it will come up over here or somewhere over there, and you have to pull it. Otherwise, you're going to have it all over your garden, and you want to control your garden. The raspberry is still trying to struggle to get established, but it's a better looking plant this year. Last year it burned up. This is all blackberry, and as you can see, this blackberry here just came up, and this one came up here, so we'll have to cut them at some point because we want to keep them concentrated right here and not out here in our walkway. This was the old winter crop. A lot of it's bolted because of the 90 degrees. We used what we could, so a lot of it will become fertilizer. Didn't really have much choice. We'll have more lettuce in here. The only bright side,
and we did get about 5 different harvests off of this, so I'm not sad when we have to use some of it into compost because I have more growing.
Yeah, right here we have a lot more growing. So we'll have these 5 plants. There's actually 2 here. We'll have 5 plants, and then we'll be moving this. So as these grow, we'll be able to utilize it. And once they get a little bit bigger leaves, they'll be perfect to eat.
And once again, we'll be taking the outer leaves and leaving the main 4 in the center so I can continue to get more out of my harvest.
Over here, we've got a mixture of okra, some flowers. What else did you put in
Cilantro.
here? Cilantro. I should have known that. There's some of the cilantro right here.
So it is actually a monarch mix that I have planted in here, and then some flowers that I bought from the Herb Society, which we belong to. And they are great ladies. Learning a lot from them. Having a lot of fun with that group. And so we bought some flowers we got going in this bed because we didn't have very good luck with the bed. So it's been refurbished. Got different fertilizer in it this year. And looks like everything's really doing pretty good. So when I read that you could do the cilantro and okra together with flowers, I was like, why not? So let's see what happens. And of course the stacking bins, I'm really impressed with how well they're doing. The mint took off from last year and it's doing very well. The one thing I will tell you, if you're going to use a stacking planter and you plant mint, plan on it taking up that whole tier, because even though I only planted it in one pocket, it has made its round all the way around.
Mint is an aggressive plant that is considered an invasive weed, just like oregano and a few other plants, or it can be considered like the blackberries, how it's invasive. So you do have to control it.
And this is one of our veranda square foot tomatoes.
And you see we're about to get a lot of beautiful tomatoes right there.
And it does great in that pocket. I've got another one planted next to it. Got some peppers planted in there, and there's also some herbs that I've planted in there, but they haven't come up yet. So we're gonna see how this progresses. I'm kind of slowly building this up.
What kind of mint was this?
I believe this was apple. And if you scratch the leaves, you should be able to give them a little scratch, or just kind of bend it back. You can smell it.
I smell it now. You had to scratch it. Anyway, back to
and it does taste really good in your teas and your lemonades and stuff, and even some of your other drinks that you can have.
For 3 years, I fought to get blueberries growing in here. I terraformed this area down here, dug down a 3-foot diameter hole going down about 3 to 4 feet. I refurbished with sphagnum peat moss, cedar chips, acids, solidifiers, and all sorts of fertile. Every year, my plants never made it. And I kept wondering why. Full sun does not mean getting the sun after 12. Because what I've discovered is once you hit 1 o'clock, that western sun will burn your plants. And if it's during the summertime, it puts strain on your plants, and some plants cannot handle it. This is the first year we have not lost a plant. We already got
new growth
berries and new growth. Even on this one here. This one is 2 years old now. And we have this under the shade cloth, and it's producing several new berries, and this is all new growth, new shoots. You have to grow with shade cloth, guys. I can't stress this enough. You have to use shade cloth if you have western exposure sun. If you're only catching the first 4 or 5 hours of sun in the morning, well, technically the sun comes about 6-ish, so if 6 to noon, that's adequate sun. that's what they mean by full sun. There's this huge misconception in gardening that it means let them sit out in this hot blazing sun. Nothing does well in hot blazing sun over a long period of time.
I also want to give a shout out to my friend Brenda with the suburban garden group that I belong to. She has been absolutely wonderful. I needed some shade plants for a shade area that I'm doing an experimental garden in, and I've also planted some of the flowers she gave me out here, and they are absolutely doing wonderful and help fill this bed up very nicely. So thank you, Brenda. That is honeysuckle that I have growing up a vine, hoping that the hummingbirds that visited us last year will return again and like the sweet smell of the honeysuckle, and it should stay on that trellis as long as I train it and weave it in and out of the trellis.
We do have a little funny story here. Our plant identifier misidentified a plant that we had from last year. It turned out it was some imposter that looked like a green bean. So it had a whole bunch of connectors and everything, and I put green beans in there, and it said it was supposed to be a bush. So I was like, okay, maybe something's wrong here, because I had several among the green beans. Turns out they were not beans that we needed, so we pulled them. But Mom took the same beans that we had and planted them here. So these are bush beans that will not be going up the trellis. So she'll be adding more beans in here that will go up this trellis. This is our big bed of all sorted peppers. We've got macaron peppers in here, which are Italian reds. We've got big Berthas. We've got lots of big Berthas in here. We also got some cucumber plants right here.
And they'll be growing up tomato wire, and they'll grow straight up, and we're going to have cucumbers all along this row. They'll probably be getting planted tomorrow in these grow bags. I'm planting more of the Parthenocarpic, I always say it wrong, Parthenocarpic type that has the female flowers, and you don't need to worry about being pollinated, since we seem to have a shortage of pollinators for some reason.
Now over here we have strawberries, which we're not supposed to have strawberries with pepper plants. So this is kind of the boundary. This is like, hey, you shall not pass. But as you can see, we've got all sorts of runners. And somebody may ask me, why don't I just cut the runners to get more production? I want this bed full of strawberry plants. That's a major thing, because I want to be able to go through here and just pick strawberries. Right now there's not so many. We just started. This is a newer bed with only a handful of established ones.
And it's a different type other than what he planted in the other beds. So yes, we're also trying a different type of strawberry to see how they do. I believe these were Ozark Beauties.
Yes.
And I can't remember what the other one. There's a couple different ones in here.
There's Ozark Beauty, which I didn't have, and then there's a few All-Star, which I have plenty over on the other side. And then of course you got this wild pepper right here. This is one of the few ones that we reuse tags, but it's growing a pepper right on top there. I've never seen that before. That's pretty wild. We got cantaloupe in here, and then we have got my glorious babies. They're all up. I only put 4 in here. This is a custom bed made soil. This has a lot of sand in it. This has a lot of sand in it. This has sand in it. You have to have a mound for your watermelon, and it has to be sandy, and you can see there's some food in here. Otherwise it won't do well. They have to grow on a hill. So what we're doing is we're taking, with our permission of our neighbor, this is called the Caroline Cross. 200-pound watermelons. We're training them to go over into this yard. That way we can cage them up easier to keep the raccoons and everything out, and we have plenty of space over here to grab them. We also have the Congo. There's 6 in this one. Only so far 3 have came up, but they're 60 to 80 pound watermelons.
And the rest of the melons that we're growing are all going to be the personal melons, the little handheld size.
Yeah.
And they won't be these big monsters.
This has been our strawberry bed for the last couple years. This is the one that I always have to go through it and look for mushrooms. There's a lot of strawberries that pop up and they're just nice and ripe, and you find them. It's like morning chore. You get to come out here, find one.
They are so good.
Yep.
And once again, we keep little buckets handy for all our trash.
But we
try to keep the garden as pretty as we can.
We don't have necessarily as many runners in this one this year. This one is more focused on production. And
which I kind of planned it that way.
And we'll have production throughout most of the summer. As you can see, we've got even more coming in over here.
And then we do have to look for invasive plants.
And then as you can see,
and this is a horrible, horrible tree.
You got this beautiful strawberry right here that we just found. That's mine. I'm probably going to be doing more of these. This is one of Mom's experiments. She put the tomato plant upside down through this planter here and covered with dirt. And then she put flowers on the top, and then she's trained. These are all small tomatoes, so she's trained them to come back up this way. So they're lightweight tomatoes. I'm curious how this is going to go. It's probably going to climb up here, and then it's going to climb up this tree branch here. I'm curious to see how that's all going to develop. So
we have ladders, and Kai is tall.
And then you want to share what this is.
So over here, I have put a raised bed around the pear tree. I always wanted to do that. I thought it needed something. So planted some perennials that have come back up, and they're looking really good this year. And I'm really glad of that. And in here, once again, thanks to Brenda for some beautiful plants that she gave me as starts. And they all seem to be doing quite well and produce beautiful flowers. So I'm hoping that they're going to come back next year and help add beauty to Kai's garden from year to year. And now we're going to enter my no-chill area that I've got going on.
So
and talk about this.
So we've got 3 different no-till areas going on here. This is all no-till over here. Garden that we've done. It's got all sorts of different squashes and zucchinis in here. It's got green beans. And then in the center here, we've also got turnips. So
and
we have
celery.
And celery on the backside that hasn't came up yet. Hopefully.
And daikon radishes.
Hopefully the rains that we got didn't wash away the celery, because they're really shallow.
Very tiny seeds.
Yeah, so we're hoping we get some. And then over here, this is the no-till we just did yesterday. Yes, it looks like a war zone. This is plants from downstairs. They will snap out of it, as proven with our garden many, many times. But this is all stuff that we've had to plant yesterday, and then of course we got dumped on another 1.5 inch rain on it. So
we are thankful for the rain after being dry for so long, but the plants are not sure how to act.
Yeah, this is their first time really being outside. And if you can see, some of them we've had indoors for so long because of timing, they already started producing flowers. She threw a lot of daikon radishes in here as a deterrent to push away the vine borers, but there is a lot of Black Beauty zucchini plants in here. They should surpass the daikon radishes. I feel like they're a little too close, but you know,
I'll be thinning them out, but for now I'm just letting them kind of take over. And I've been moving some of the daikon radishes, as you can kind of see, over to other areas to protect the squash. I'm going to find out if it's really a myth or if it really is going to work.
And then what we're doing with a lot of our zucchini this year is everything is going up.
Straight up.
And how that works is we can see if there's any eggs on the leaves for the vine borers. We can also cut it back easier, and there'll be less leaves on it at the bottom, but there'll be more leaves on the top, because as it grows, it doesn't need all the leaves, and should be able to harvest more and also be more open to the pollinators to do a lot of cross-pollinating. And then of course in this muddy mess here, this is another no-till gardening where we've got to add some more dirt and some other stuff on top of here. We've already added food underneath it and some other compost, but then we stacked dirt, peat moss, and then other stuff. We got a little bit more left to do. And then this is another bed that's going to have probably another ton of tomatoes in it. Hopefully maybe more Romas, we'll see. She's got still some more of a lot of the small tomatoes, a lot of new ones that we haven't tried before. So we got a lot of variety going on here. And then we got another large tomato area that they just got planted yesterday. So they do look like they've been in a war zone themselves. This is all large tomatoes as well. They're going to be going up on this line here. We're dropping it straight down, connecting it, and then just go all the way up. And then as they get to the top here, we just lower the line, lower the plant a little bit, bring it back up, and we can keep training it throughout the rest of the season to grow. I think this is going to be a winner, and maybe something we'll be doing more of next year for a lot more vertical gardening. That way we can just limit how many we have, and we may be able to even switch it up to where we can do maybe 2 in a bag. We're going to test some different theories to see what works good, especially in these larger grow bags. We're going to do a lot of experimentation this year. And then of course over here we got one more area that we're going to do no-till, which is right over here. We're going to set this up. We'll
probably do grow bags over here because it's a small walking space, and I'll probably move the trellis because I'm thinking it's probably going to be peppers in grow bags, and I'll probably utilize the trellis somewhere else.
Grow bags here and the grow bags there. That's a good point.
We want to leave ourselves at least a good foot to walk through if we know that we're not going to be able to take stuff in and out, or not need to do something like that, because we've got it set right now where we can take wheelbarrows in there if we need to.
And this concludes part 1 of our gardening tour. We have so much more to talk about, but we're going to split this into 2 segments. The vegetable and fruit area has been finished. We are going to next cover the herb and pollinator area. So don't forget to smash that like button, consider subscribing, and stay tuned for part 2. Bye for now.